Alex Eala is set to compete in the singles and doubles events.
With energy like that, you don't get tired, so it was good.
And Alex, so good to have you out here for the first time. How special was that?
Having too much crowd on this or any other tennis tournament is a very good problem to have.
The Miami Open draw dropped just hours ago, and the tennis world is already arguing about one thing. Tournament director James Blake confirmed 2 days ago that Alex Eala, currently ranked number 29, not even top 10, will be placed on center court no matter what her seeding says. His reason had nothing to do with ranking points. It came down purely to crowd demand. Her fan base shows up in numbers that smaller courts simply cannot handle. Blake told Tennis Channel that last year's chaos with Fonseca's Brazilian fans, hundreds stuck outside a packed arena, taught him everything he needed to know. He wasn't about to make the same mistake twice with the Filipino star at the biggest cultural stop on the American swing. That's exactly what's been bothering some WTA stars. A player ranked 140th just 12 months ago, who basically snuck into this same tournament on a wild card, is now getting VIP treatment that top 5 veterans have spent entire careers chasing through match results. Must be nice. Subscribing to this channel keeps you ahead of the tennis conversations that bigger outlets quietly ignore. Because underneath the sold-out crowds and the celebration, the question going around the locker rooms right now is far less comfortable, and Miami hasn't even gone crazy yet.
Hi, I'm Alex Eala. First is I don't know how to ride a bike. Second, I love watching. Super happy with the game, how I played. I think she was a tough opponent, and yeah, tough conditions out there, very hot, but I'm just very happy with the win. It's Alex Eala here. I just wanted to thank you all so much for the support. The atmosphere these past few days have been completely amazing.
So what exactly is that uncomfortable question? It's this. At what point does a tournament stop being a sporting competition and start being a business decision dressed up as one? Because what James Blake announced 2 days ago wasn't really about tennis. It was about revenue, crowd management, and the uncomfortable reality that Alex Eala, not even top 10, seeded 31st, is currently the most commercially valuable women's player at the Miami Open. Aryna Sabalenka isn't the answer. Iga Swiatek doesn't fit the bill either. Coco Gauff is nowhere in that conversation.
Well, she's being told X, Y, and Z, and I don't think get out of there. Well, the crowd are seeing the pictures on the big screen.
A perfect finish, really well constructed point again. Left Baptiste guessing which way the last ball was going, and it was out of her reach. Another winner, another fine strike.
A 20-year-old from the Philippines who was ranked 145th this time last year. And the WTA stars who've spent years building their careers inside a strict merit-based system are watching that reality settle in, one center court confirmation at a time. To understand why Blake didn't hesitate, you need to look at what Eala's presence actually does to a tournament's numbers, because the evidence trail this season has been impossible to ignore. At the Australian Open in January, the tournament assigned her a court with a capacity for a few hundred people. Fans overflowed into the aisles and surrounding areas. The match became a crowd management problem before the first game was even played. A player ranked outside the top 50 at the time drew a crowd that the venue simply wasn't built to absorb. Dubai was worse, or better, depending on whose perspective you're taking. Tournament director Salah Tahlak confirmed after the event that Eala had sold out every single one of her matches, not just the later rounds. Every match from the opening round onward. People who couldn't get tickets were reportedly trying to buy them off other fans outside the venue. The stadium was full for all of her games, including a quarterfinal loss to Gauff that ended her run.
Tournaments are such great experiences for me, you know, especially playing in front of the best crowd ever. And
I'm really happy to advance to the next round. Obviously, it's not in the way I wanted it to end.
I do my best. I do what I can, and just if I see an opening.
Then Indian Wells happened last week. Fans drove over 2 hours from Los Angeles, wearing Alex Eala fan club shirts, carrying Filipino flags, to watch her practice sessions. No matches, practice. Her crowds at those sessions were described by reporters on the ground as comparable to the crowds surrounding Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner. When her actual match against Diana Yastremska ran past midnight, her supporters stayed in the cold desert air, wrapped in blankets, cheering every point until the final one landed at 7-5, 4-6, 7-5 after 2 hours and 43 minutes, the longest match of the day. The BNP Paribas Open posted a day in the life video featuring her during the tournament. It became the most watched piece of content the tournament had uploaded.
Another wonderful win for Alexandra Eala. Thank you, Jasmine, she says. Paolini gracious as ever in defeat. The former champion is out. Alexandra Eala.
All year, and it wasn't particularly close. Her Australian Open pre-tournament press conference drew 196,000 views. For context, Novak Djokovic's equivalent video pulled roughly half that number. Carlos Alcaraz's got around 30,000. World number 1, Sabalenka, a two-time Melbourne champion, recorded about 9,000 views for hers. She currently has close to 1 million Instagram followers. That's more than double what Jessica Pegula, Madison Keys, and Amanda Anisimova each carry. 3 players ranked considerably above her for most of the past several years. Blake looked at all of that, thought about the logistical headaches that smaller court assignments had already caused at 2 separate tournaments in 2026, and made a call that had nothing to do with the seeding sheet. Miami was getting center court for Eala, regardless of what the ranking system recommended. Now here's where it gets interesting. No WTA star has stood in front of a microphone and said the words, "This isn't fair."
18-year-old lefty Alex Eala from the Philippines could be the next big thing in pro tennis.
This is the goal
My
to
goal
do.
is to be able to integrate myself into the WTA circuit more and to be able to handle myself better on court.
Bolted into the spotlight last month after making the semifinals at one of the biggest pro tennis tournaments in the world.
That's not how professional tennis works. The diplomatic filter in that sport is extraordinarily thick, and players who openly criticize tournament decisions tend to find themselves navigating awkward conversations with officials for the rest of the season, so nobody has said it directly. But the cracks in the carefully worded answers have been visible enough. Coco Gauff beat Eala 6-0, 6-2 in Dubai last month, a straightforward result on the scoreboard. What wasn't straightforward was the speech she gave on court afterward, in front of a crowd that had spent the entire match cheering against her. Gauff thanked Eala specifically for bringing a new demographic to the sport, acknowledged it was tough playing against a home crowd atmosphere, and then told the fans to keep being enthusiastic.
I know you were mostly supporting Alex, but I have to say it is great to be on a crowded court. I've played this tournament for many years, and to see the stadium full, it means a lot. And also, like to thank Alex for bringing a new demographic to the sport. I really appreciate
Bringing a new demographic to the sport, acknowledged it was tough playing against a home crowd atmosphere, and then told the fans to keep being enthusiastic. It was a gracious thing to say. It was also the kind of thing you say when you've just absorbed 2 hours of noise directed entirely at your opponent in a tournament you've played for years without that kind of atmosphere ever materializing. Gauff has also said in interviews that she had never seen the stadium full at Dubai in her years of playing there before Eala arrived. The implication was clear. The crowds Gauff had spent years competing in front of in the same venues simply weren't comparable to what Eala generates now. Pegula's take was even more revealing. She won the Dubai title just weeks ago and was asked about Eala's fanbase in her post-match press conference. Her answer started warmly enough. "Alex is amazing. The way her country supports her is something special." Before arriving at the detail that told the real story, she brought up the 2025 Miami semifinal, where she defeated Eala in 3 sets, and described the crowd experience from her side. "I'm from there. The whole crowd was against me. I was like, what on earth is going on? Where did these people come from?" Pegula is from Boca Raton. She has played Miami more times than she can probably count. She had never experienced anything like that crowd in her own backyard, for a player ranked 140th in the world at the time. She described hearing the noise from her hotel room in Dubai this year. She called it incredible, and Eala a perfect role model in the same breath. And then she quietly noted the Australian Open court sizing problem. They put her on too small a court, as if that detail alone summarized something she didn't quite have the words for. These aren't furious outbursts. They're something more carefully controlled than that, which in some ways makes the point more sharply.
And now, she's made history in a major way. Not just for herself, but for her country and for the next generation watching.
She's coming from Philippines, which is now a big deal. You know, she's been the biggest ever, tennis player from that country.
I'm really appreciative and super thankful.
Here's the other side of this story that tends to get buried underneath the crowd footage and the feel-good narratives. Eala enters the Miami Open with 390 ranking points to defend from last year's semifinal run. Under WTA rules, those points expire exactly 1 year after they were earned, which means the clock runs out during this exact tournament. If she exits before the semifinals, she loses a significant chunk of points and faces the possibility of dropping outside the top 50. She currently sits at number 29 in the world with 1,542 total points. Lose those 390 without replacing them, and the math gets uncomfortable fast. So while the VIP treatment and the center court placement are generating headlines, the player at the center of it is actually walking into the highest pressure tournament of her career so far. The wildcard underdog story from 2025 doesn't exist this time. She's seeded 31st. There are expectations attached to that seeding. The draw was released just hours ago, and a potential path to the quarterfinals runs through Mira Andreeva or Victoria Mboko before a likely semifinal collision with Goff, a player who beat her by a combined 12-2 in their Dubai meeting. Then there's the shadow of Swiatek sitting on the other side of the draw. The rematch that last year's Miami result made inevitable. Eala herself addressed the pressure recently, and her answer was either genuinely composed or the best performance of her off-court career. It doesn't matter if I win the tournament in Miami or if I lose in the first round. I know I'm here and I'm here to stay. Easy to say, considerably harder to back up when 390 points are sitting on the table and the locker room temperature around the VIP treatment conversation is running warmer than anyone is publicly admitting. The Miami Open has always been a tournament with a distinct identity, a culturally diverse crowd, an international flavor, and a venue that genuinely reflects the city it calls home. Blake said it himself when he explained the center court decision. Miami is a cultural melting pot, and Eala's global fan base fits that environment more naturally than almost anywhere else on the calendar.
And I feel like, people will like you for who you are if you are true to yourself.
But the question that nobody has cleanly answered yet is where the line sits. If commercial value starts routinely overriding the seeding system for scheduling decisions, the players ranked above Eala, the ones who earned their positions through 2, 3, 5 years of consistent results, have a reasonable argument to make. The system they were told to trust is being quietly adjusted around them, and the adjustment has nothing to do with anything that happens on court. The WTA stars watching this aren't wrong to feel what they feel, even if none of them will say it outright. The Miami crowds are going to be extraordinary. What Eala generates inside that venue will be the best advertisement for professional women's tennis that has been produced in years. And somewhere inside that celebration, the most honest conversation in the sport right now is going on behind closed doors. Miami hasn't even gone crazy yet, but give it 48 hours. If you made it this far, you already know this channel covers the angles that everywhere else glosses over. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and drop your prediction for Eala's run in the comments, because this tournament is going to generate a lot more to talk about before it's done.